How strong is your digital footprint? If you want to be a good speaker in 2020 and beyond, and that basically means from 2021 to 2025, everything is going to be based on footprint. If your footprint is not strong, you're not going to have enough evidence to show that you're the right person to be hired. So please pay attention to what we're going to be saying right now, because this is going to definitely change your speaking career. Dave, I've been checking on my footprint already for a while. You have a very strong footprint on the internet. If they search your name is very widely shown everywhere, whether it is Google, whether it is YouTube, whether it is LinkedIn, everywhere. There's a footprint. We understand how important it is. Same thing happens with me. How about you? For example, if you're a speaker and you want to be hired by company X, and you want to say, well, you know, my speaking fee is $5,000 or $10,000, whatever your fee might be. What is going to happen is previously people will be very impressed by looking at your website, and in that website you talking about how incredible you are. Right now in the virtual world, what they're going to do is they're going to go to YouTube, they're going to go to Google, and they're going to see how much information have they got from events that you have done pre the pandemic.
Do you remember that they've closed the website down now, but there used to be a thing called a clout score?
Yeah.
And what it would do was search your social media to find out how active you are, how responsive your audience is, and they give you a score out of 100 as to what your clout, spelled with a K, score would be. And what people would do, event organizers would compare clout scores between speakers to see who would have most impact if it brought them in. So that's ultimately what we're talking about. It's not even good enough to be a great speaker. It's can you be seen and found as a great speaker?
Exactly. So here we have a video, which is a presentation. It's already it's a TEDx presentation that I think it was in 2014 or something like that. And they are explaining what the footprint is and why it's so important. Have a look.
Just as our carbon footprints impact our physical environment, our digital footprints can impact our personal livelihood. It's interesting that they call it the World Wide Web because, like foolhardy flies, we all ultimately get trapped. But it's imperative that when we surf, we start using our head to proactively protect and navigate our own social map. Sign in, username, password, click. Whew, now I'm safe. Not necessarily, because our every interface on a digital device is recorded somewhere, and you better believe there's a price. It is not enumerated in dollars and cents. It's a more constant currency in the form of a digital footprint. When we make our lives public, it's hard to keep a secret. Billions of people access the internet, and not everything gets deleted. Don't quite believe me? Well, let's take a walk down that path, and let's see what you learn from your social graph. It's the global mapping of everyone and how they're related. Your friends, your family, the questionable people you've dated. In cyberspace, a visible history of our lives and interests has accumulated, and there are serious consequences for leaving our thoughts and actions ungated. Still not convinced? Well, I've seen it with my own eyes. A young, intelligent high school student ahead of him his whole life, accepted to an Ivy League school, but had his admission rescinded. Let's just say what was on his profile page could not be commended. And it's not just universities. It can be utilized by inquiring employers. You think they don't do their research? They're quality control voyeurs, something we view as harmless, freedom of self-expression. From a professional perspective, you'll be fired, no question. Whether it's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, before we upload, download, type on those keys, press enter, we need to slow down. Take time, think, consider. How will this instant information impact our hopes and our dreams? How could this careless communication be interpreted or released? What's the solution, you ask? How can we really be safe? Well, if there are aspects of our lives we want private, then we should keep it that way. We do not need to post every part of our pedestrian progressions, and we don't have to constantly coexist solely via internet connection. There is a whole world out there. We can hear, see, smell, touch, and taste it. The chain tying you to that screen, antiquated, written in pencil, erase it. And when we do sign in again, we'll be thoughtful, we'll use tact, because we understand our digital decisions can have a lasting impact. Life has no Apple or Control Z. You can't take everything back. The internet is a remarkable resource, and if we make intelligent choices now, there'll be no need for recourse, especially if we empower ourselves to censor what we enter on our keyboards. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't want to show the whole presentation because I think the most important thing is to see that there's two aspects of this. First of all is that, well, we know we cannot be living out of the grid. I mean, we cannot living off the grid. And what we need to do is we have to be able to create what we want people to see when they look for our digital footprint. So we are very careful, Dave and I, what we are putting there online, but we know that we are stacking the way that we want to see that we want people to see us. That's our branding. And that, I think, is the most important point that you need to learn as a speaker.
Here's the thing. Everybody who's watching the show, everybody's been following us and friends of ours are all in the speaking world in some capacity, even if they're organizing events or they're entrepreneurial. They might have a day job, but they like to speak as well. But the world has changed so much. There's going to be a much more scattered across the globe global workforce where people are not going to go into an office. They're just going to work with people who are outsourced across the board, almost every industry. In fact, every industry, if it's not doing it already, it will happen. You'll come up with a really good idea. You'll need a graphic designer. You'll have a coder. You'll have somebody who's great at writing copy, and they could be in the Philippines, in India, in Eastern Europe. Doesn't matter. You'll have them. So in order to be found, you need to create a digital footprint, not even as a speaker, just to be able to show up on radars. Because if you want people overseas to hire you or organizations to see you, you must at some point say, this is me. If you don't say this is me, then they will not believe that you are anybody, certainly not anybody worth paying attention to. So whether you want to be at the highest levels as a speaker or a branded influencer, or you just want to be available when people see you, you have to think about your brand.
Right now, that point is that if you're a speaker, you don't only need to be thinking about your website, you need to be thinking about your footprint. That's going to be every single place that you're going to be leaving some pieces of your identity there on the internet. So if you think this is important, please make sure to subscribe. Please make sure to ring the notification bell because we have a lot of more incredible content to share with you on how to build your footprint, your speaker footprint correctly.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you really enjoyed it, then make sure you watch one of these two videos afterwards. And Ernesto, why are you staring up on top of my head?
Dave, your hair is actually thinning out.
Well, if it is, it's about the only thing getting thin on this show.
Here on this side, we have some more amazing videos for you to watch.